Hey, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Scott. There's Dave right over there next to me. And man, we are going old school. And I do mean old. 1922, 100 years ago.
100 years.
Nosferatu. Wow. Silent
Right.
film with some really annoying music on the video that I watched. I'm sure it's been
Right.
done by different people and different setups and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is my first time I've ever seen this. And
Oh, really?
yes, I have never watched Nosferatu before.
Oh, I thought you had seen it before. I
No.
thought that's why we
No, I
we were
wanted to
both
see
like
it.
all excited about doing it.
Yeah, I was excited to see it. It's it's okay. I'm just gonna get the negative out of the way. It's a movie. It's actually pretty impressive for 100 years ago. Some of the tricks that they pull
Right.
in this, a lot of transparencies, floating things, animation, early animation.
Yeah.
So really
Stop
neat.
motion.
Yes,
Yeah.
really neat to see that. But here's the thing. For me, Dracula is one of my all-time favorite stories. I've read the book multiple times. I watched the Dracula movies. I can't believe I've never watched this.
Right.
And knowing that this is clearly a take of Bram Stoker's Dracula,
Oh, yeah.
having the names changed was hard for me. It's like, nah, that's Van Helsing, that's Jonathan,
Yeah.
that's Mina, that's
Yeah.
Dr. Seward. What? And it was hard. And then I got to digging, and the story of this movie is just as interesting as the movie itself.
Right.
Is
Right.
what's happened to it. I will say this. I'm glad I watched it, but I thought it was kind of a hard watch, at least with the music that was put to it.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, with a silent film, I think works better in smaller chunks than a whole hour and a half.
Yeah.
Only because of what we're used to.
It was really long, even in the day, even back then, because
Yeah.
most movies up in the 20s, I think, I want to say were maybe an hour at the very most. I mean, I was shocked because I thought this was like 45 minutes.
That's
when
what I was thinking
popped it
too.
in. And then I looked at the time, I was like, oh crap, this is like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
The story, I love the story behind this movie. They made the movie.
Mhm.
I thought they had the rights. You said that you read that they didn't have the rights.
Bram Stoker's widow would not give the rights.
Right.
So they made some changes. They changed the names and they changed a few key parts in the story, thinking they could slide through, and ended up going to court, and they were ordered to destroy every single copy, which didn't happen because we now have. It's out there everywhere for people to see.
God.
Thank God somebody said, no, fuck you. I'm keeping it. Absolutely. I would hate to have seen this destroyed. It has its place in vampire lore. It's actually responsible for the sunlight mythos, vampires being hurt by sun. So, yeah.
And this is what a vampire looks like. This is what Count Dracula looked like. Count Dracula didn't look like Bela Lugosi. He doesn't look like the sparkly vampires that you see. When he's described in the book, he looks like Max Schreck looked in this movie as Count Orlok. Graf Orlok was the character's name.
Yeah, and
when she sued him, she sued the hell out. She was a miserable person, from what I understand, anyway. And my understanding of Bram Stoker and his wife, they weren't happily married, if I remember correctly. Like she just didn't like the guy, and he didn't like her, and whatever. But this is stories that I've read. I wasn't there.
Right.
I don't know. But when she took these guys to court, she went for blood. You know, there was no halfway bits about it, man. She went after him.
Yeah. And that's a shame, and I get it. And it was just odd for me. And here it was hard for me to watch this actually, because it seemed that the pacing was a little slow. But I think a lot of that had to do with it being silent and with the music and that horrible vocals at the beginning, which I couldn't take.
Yeah. Yours was better than the music on my DVD. I bought my DVD back in 93, 94 maybe. So that was my music was a lot worse on mine.
Oh damn.
I just looked over at the cat and I was like, this is terrible music.
Yeah.
It didn't fit. Whoever put the music on the DVD or on indeed the Tubi show version that you were watching, that music didn't fit either.
There were points where it worked really well,
Mm-hmm.
and I appreciated that. But I'm watching this whole thing. It's like, my God, I would love to see this with sound put in. And then I
Right.
got to thinking, my God, the chore of putting every single sound in there would be insane.
Could
But I would
you?
like to see it. I would like to see voices put in and sound
Yeah.
put in, because the acting is actually
Oh, that would
solid in
be
this movie.
interesting.
Yeah.
That
I thought
that's
about
it.
doing it, and it's like, I don't have that kind of time, but maybe it'll be a passion project. Let me
A
add
little
some
bit at a
Foley to it.
time. A
A
little
little
bit
bit
at
at
a
a time, a
time.
scene at a time.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a lot of all the breathing, the sighing, the little
Yeah.
turning of everything, this foot shuffling. I think it would be neat to see that done. The stories here, if you know Dracula, you know Nosferatu for
Yeah.
the most part. And I think that was my biggest problem with this. It's like, it's not those people, but it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I I really let's go the character Knock, who is Renfield
Uh-huh.
in this. At the beginning, this is interesting because he's a real estate person. He's
Uh-huh.
what they call him in this, Hutter or Hutton or whatever.
What's funny is your version
Mhm.
has
Different names.
the names that were released in the movie. My version, whoever edited it, put the names back in.
No shit. So you have Jonathan, Mina, Seward, Van
Yeah.
Helsing.
Yeah. Like when the cards
Ah,
came up, they fixed that.
yeah.
They were like, screw that. That's not who those guys are.
Good.
Your version, art wise and image wise, was much clearer, much nicer. Because after I got
Dude,
off,
it was clean.
I was like, I got to go see how clear this was, how clean this. That's a beautiful copy.
It
But
is.
that's the original. That's a cut of the original copy.
Yeah.
Like what I got was probably an original copy, but edited with, you know,
I'm glad they
the
did that,
original
because
names.
I think I would have had a better time with it. And I know it sounds absolutely silly, but it was just,
Uh,
I found it very distracting. Especially with all the Dracula lore and everything. It's like, okay, but it hits all the beats of the book.
yeah.
I mean, all
Hutter.
of them.
Hutter would have been the guy, Gustav
Yeah.
von Wagenstein, Wagenhagen. I'm going to
Nine.
destroy. I'm sorry, folks. I don't speak German. I know that the W is a B, and that's yeah.
Yeah.
Volkswagen. No.
Parfanugan.
Gustav
Okay.
von Wagenheim was a
Okay.
German actor, film director, and screenwriter.
Wow.
Wow,
But
I'm
and
impressed.
that's one of the things with yeah, it's a silent film, but they acted well.
Yeah.
And it was a little over the top, a little expressive, but look at what we're dealing with. We're dealing with very early film.
Right.
People are acting as if they're on a stage. And that's what it felt like. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you were really
The people in the back got to see
projecting
you move.
these big movements, these big
Yeah.
facial expressions. And then we later learn the camera picks up every little tick, so you have to mellow it back
Right.
down.
Right.
But it was neat to see, and I'm actually very glad I watched it. I might watch a different version again.
Yeah.
Tubi has a copy of this movie. They also had the 70s, 72 Werner
Right.
Herzog's edition as well. I'd like to
Yeah.
see that. Watching this makes me want to go watch Shadow of the Vampire again.
That's a good. Kat and I were talking about that. We're like, we're
Yeah.
gonna watch that tonight. So we'll
Ah.
probably wind up watching that tonight or tomorrow, because it's a good movie, and
Yes, it is.
it's when you watch that after you've seen this movie, you will be amazed at the shots that they do that look just like the
Oh
shots
shit.
in this movie. Like when he's standing by the window, I think there's a shot in the Shadow of the Vampire where he's like standing by the window just staring out. They do
Mhm.
that. I think they do that shot. They do the shot where he's coming out of the coffin, and it's like, holy crap! It's like so well done, so well done. That
I
movie.
do like how Count Orlok just walks around with a coffin under his
I was
arm.
gonna
I just
text
got walking
you.
out there.
I
I'm
was
going to my
thinking-
house.
I was heckling. I needed the old man next to me in the balcony, and you weren't
Yes.
there.
I know. I was here doing the same thing. I that's it. That's us. The two old men in the Muppet balcony. Save the comedy for the
Max-
Bears. Okay.
Yeah, leave the comedy in the bear, Ebenezer. I love that. Max Schreck played Orlok or Dracula, depending on what copy. you
Now,
want.
did Max really look that way? Is this fucker
No.
really that bizarre looking?
Max was actually, I mean, he's a sturdy looking guy. I mean, I'm looking at a picture of him without the makeup on. But from what I understand, Max Schreck was very much, I think he was a big name at this point. Was born in Berlin. He worked in an apprenticeship, and his father died. And I'm not getting a whole lot. Max Reinhardt's group of Okay, he was an actor, and he's a really well-known actor from what I'm gathering here.
Right.
And he was evidently a prima donna, like
Oh,
big time prima donna, even back then. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
they did a good job on the makeup because I'm looking at Max. He doesn't
dude,
look,
I'm telling you,
I would have never thought that was him. So, wow.
yeah, like if you go to Amazon or not on Amazon, go to IMDb and you'll see Max Schreck,
Yeah, I
and
just
then
Googled him and we will see if I
yeah,
can get a non glare picture.
yeah, that's
There
Max
we go.
Schreck. That's
There's
the guy
Max
who
Schreck.
played Count Orlok or Dracula, depending again.
Yeah, it's Dracula. It's
And
Dracula.
he was, I guess, like a real arrogant guy. I don't know if he was unfun or unfunny, but he was German, and their sense of humor is very, very out there sometimes. So
Yeah,
he may have been the funniest guy on the damn lot. Who knows?
he might have been. He
He
might
may
have
have been a
been.
practical chuckster, you know?
One of the things that cracked me up is the book that he found,
Yeah.
Jonathan, for lack
Frozen
of a
on the
better
ground
name.
laughing.
Yeah, but it's a book about vampires and werewolves who strangely look like hyenas. Uh, I
Saw
get it.
that.
1922. Who all had seen a hyena?
Nobody.
So it was pretty exotic to have that in there,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
pretty cool. Um, the effects are really well done in this. It's shot pretty well. One of the complaints I have, though, and they wait till near the end of the movie to
Uh,
start showing some great night shots.
yeah.
There's so many shots that are clearly daytime, and I'm supposed to think it's nighttime, and it's
You know, I like
confusing.
walking around with the goddamn coffin. I was
It
like,
was in
what
broad
the hell's
daylight.
it? What's he doing carrying around a coffin in the middle of town?
But when they finally decide to light a night scene, it's beautiful, and it's like,
Yeah,
wow,
it's very
why did you not
successful.
do this? It's very
Yeah.
suspenseful. It's like, oh shit, this is cool. I think with the right, God damn it, I want to go and take this and do an edit to it. I want to make my own edit of Nosferatu, and I might just do it.
Yeah, do it, man. You got to volunteer to help you do voiceovers. You want to
I
add
did.
some voices, man? It'd be fun. It could be
We could
fun.
probably do that. We could probably do
But,
that. But I can't do the women very well. I'll sound like Monty Python.
hello,
Yeah.
you can't go out to Darth Vader.
Oh, the mosquitoes are
Dracula's
bad.
castle. What do you think you're doing, mate? Oh, stop it. Take your rosary with you.
That might actually work. That might actually fucking work.
Oh
No,
my God.
it's a good one, and I do recommend people check this out just because it's such a cool piece of history, and it makes me want to watch some other movies from the 20s.
There is another vampire movie on, and it's called Vampire. Vampyre. It's on HBO Max.
Okay.
I have not watched it. It is in my queue. I want to say it's a very early version of a vampire movie, like one of the first. It's like this one. It's like I think it's one of the first vampire movies made. I'll have to
Very
look
cool.
back into it. And I think it's another German or Austrian
Right. I
telling.
thought
So
of something that I ran across the other day, and you had talked about this. And it may be coming on Netflix or Hulu or somewhere. There's a documentary or a movie on the making of the Spanish version of Dracula that you were telling me about that used the
no
same
shit.
set and everything. So I'll see if I can find that. Janine
Oh,
had ran across it as like, David was talking about this, how they filmed at night on the, and it's
yes.
supposed to be all about that. And it's like,
Oh,
wow.
I'm telling you, folks, if you like the Bela Lugosi version of Dracula, see if you can find the Spanish version. I'm sorry, I don't have the guy's name handy directly in front of
Yeah.
me. His version of Dracula and the Spanish version, I gotta say, I think it's just just edges
I'm
out.
gonna have to check it out.
It just, to me, it just edges out Bela Lugosi's Dracula. They use all
Uh,
the same set. You guy, dude, if you like Bela Lugosi's Dracula, you'll
yeah.
like this guy
Oh,
and
very cool.
all the actors, all the characters, because you're watching it and you're like, holy crap, it is almost shot for shot, but it's different. Not just the Spanish language, it's not just the Mexican
Hmm.
actors. It's it's just got a different vibe. The women
Well,
are prettier, are more sexual for the time. You know what I mean? They're that when she has to be sexy, Nina, I think it's Nina,
Mina.
a little bit sexier than the
Yeah.
American girl. When the other one has to play the part of the misbegotten woman who's got to push away, she's a little bit more pushy away. I
Yeah.
don't know how to describe it. They were just better. Just everything edges out just a little bit better, and that's really hard for me to say because I've watched this movie so many times, and I'm just like, Bella, if you'd have done it in your own voice, if you'd have done it in, I think he was Yugoslavian or Hungarian.
Yeah.
Oh,
Eastern European. That'll cover
I know he's
it.
Eastern European. I just don't know what
Right.
part of he. We're all the same. I mean, for crying out loud, we all have
You
the
could be
same
related
accent.
to him.
Yeah, we all have the same accent when we get here.
Right. Through
We
that.
do. I can't help it. But yeah, I think you'll like it. But as far as this movie, Nosferatu, it is up until Vampire. I think this was the first. I think this was the first Dracula movie.
Yeah.
So and it's good. It's really good. There's a lot of stuff I like about this. The ship scenes, those
Yes.
sets on the ship were really nicely done.
There's a lot of good here, and I can't help but watch this and think of the time and think of the logistics of the time and
Yeah.
what it would take to set this up. And you've got a camera that they're having to fucking crank. And I just like, I can't imagine. And that's why you get that jerkiness. Because
Yeah.
I mean, dude can't keep it steady.
Yeah.
I mean, who could?
Yeah, that's why you had to get two or three cameramen that
Yeah.
could all do the arms. And you imagine, hey, poor fucker, if you're left-handed, you're like,
You've learned to
son
be
of a
right-handed
bitch.
real quick. One of the things that struck me though is Mina in Nosferatu.
Uh,
Her look, I swear to God, when Francis Ford Coppola cast Winona Ryder, he was
yeah,
looking at that because even her hair and everything is like, look at you. So
you're right.
I'm curious.
You're right. I didn't catch that. It's one of those things that I was like, I've seen this actress in other things, but no, I haven't. I think you're right. I think I was picking up
I
on
thought of Winona Ryder when I saw her. I was like,
Wow,
oh, whoa, look at that.
that's funny.
So yeah, you can't make a Dracula or a vampire movie without going to the sources. And
Yeah, I
this
think
is
this is a good source. This is a
it
good
is a
place to
great
start.
source.
If you're gonna do a vampire movie or write a vampire story, yeah, listen to Scott. This is a good prime source to go
Oh,
to.
dude,
Vampires aren't pretty.
no,
They can
but
fake it, they can hide it,
but
but
like in the book, he does start off very ugly.
yeah,
But as he starts to feed, he starts to change and becomes very more
yeah,
suave and womanizing and stuff
right.
like that. But yeah, and one of my favorite vampire movies was a miniseries, Salem's Lot. And
That vampire looked. That
if
was
you look
him.
at Mr. Barlow, he
Mhm.
looks just like Count Orlok. And it's like,
Right.
wow, that's where they went. Teeth in the front, pointy head, big ears. He's
I've
a
never
creepy
seen
fucking
that
vampire.
series. I've never seen the miniseries. It scared the shit out of me as a little kid. Just watching the. Oh, is that something I'm gonna have to watch? Are we gonna have
Yeah,
to review that?
we're gonna have to do it.
We're
We're
gonna
gonna have to do it, and we can even do it next if you want.
I'll find it. I'll watch Salem's Lot.
I've got it on Blu-ray around here somewhere,
Very
and it's
cool.
probably I don't know where it's at, but yeah, we should definitely do that. It it's one of those that is not a it's a good adaptation, but it takes a lot of liberties from the book, which is fine.
Oh yeah. That's fine.
You have to. The book's like this thick. You gotta thin it
There's
down.
certain things that you can do in a book that you can't do in a movie, and vice versa. That's why I get bitchy whenever somebody just strays so far from a book or so far from something I've read.
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, that you just can't take it.
I haven't watched.
I have not watched it. I'll be honest with you, I have not watched it either. I have not had anybody that is a Lord of the Rings fan and knows the lore
Mhm.
that has liked it at all or anything about it. So I gotta probably just stay away from that one for a while. I'll let
Yeah,
it
yeah.
simmer, then I'll watch it
It may
maybe.
be really good, but I have no interest. But anyway,
Yeah. It's like the new Andor is supposed to be very good. And I know, folks, we just went off on a tangent for no apparent reason,
you
but
had to
that's what
bring
we do.
Star Wars up.
What we
All
do.
right.
But Andor is supposed to be very good. I've heard two or three different people saying, "Oh, this looks like it's good." We've seen the first 3 or 4 episodes. It's doing what we wanted to see in a Star
I'm
Wars. And I'm
probably
like,
going to watch tonight.
I can't give them that
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, here's the thing,
After Obi-Wan and
dude. I
Boba
get
Fett, I
it.
just can't do it
I
anymore.
absolutely get it. I don't like Cassian Andor at all in Rogue
No,
One. But I watched the trailer and I got to see, Saw Gerrera's there, and it's like, okay, cool,
right.
very cool. And it had such a different energy in the trailer.
Right.
It intrigued me, and it's like I wasn't going to watch, but I think I'm going to go watch here later tonight and see how the
Yeah.
first episode is. But
See, I'm just like, you're not going to sucker me again because
I get it, dude. I get
Disney
it.
has to fix too much stuff for me to go and give them a lot of money anymore. That's just how I feel. It's like,
The
hey, you guys got a lot of fixing to do
the
down
new
here.
trailer for The Mandalorian looks awesome, and much to your chagrin, Baby Yoda is still here.
Yeah, I know. And I know I'm going
Anyway,
to get hate for saying Baby
you know,
Yoda needs to be gone already. That's just me. He could go visit. Baby Yoda could show up.
I don't know. I will tune in for the Baby Yoda show. That's all I'm going to say.
See, that's
He could
what
just
that's.
he could just drink tea and eat frogs, and I will be happy. He can just sit over there with that cute little look. I mean, it's a wonderful puppet. It's a
You know
wonderful
what?
puppet.
I will. This is what I will say. I will watch Mandalorian and pay to watch Mandalorian when they bring Gina Carano back and apologize prophetically to her.
You know that's not going to happen.
Exactly. So
It should.
I will never pay to watch Mandalorian again.
It should. It should. She should have never been fired from that
Nope.
show.
No,
I think she was perfectly fine as an actress, and she fit that role perfectly and really
perfect.
did a great job. So Disney, while they may have had the right, I think they made a mistake. So,
Rights and wrongs. I don't know if they even had the right, but
oh man,
Kathleen
if
Kennedy
you
does
own a
what
business, you
Kathleen
have the right to
Kennedy
get rid
does.
of whoever the hell you want. It may not be under good pretenses, but they have the right as a business. But I
Yeah,
don't agree with it.
See, that's where you and I kind of disagree. You have a right to fire somebody if they're fucking up your brand.
Yeah, well, maybe they felt that.
There's a whole lot of people that they haven't fired.
Oh,
for trying
dude,
to
I
fuck
know.
up their
I
brand.
know. And that's a whole nother fucking podcast.
That's
We
a
can
whole
pull
nother
if we pull
podcast.
everybody's tweets. My God, they're gonna have to fire everybody. So it was clearly political, but that's
But
yeah,
you know what? Let's bring that back into Nosferatu
sure,
about like what I was saying about Max Schreck. From what I understand, huge prima donna of the day.
right.
I remember reading a story years ago about he didn't get along with anybody. He hated the makeup, of course, because I can't imagine how thick that stuff was back then. Um, he would sit there and just be late for no reason at all. Like they'd be all ready to film, and he would just, he'd be the guy complaining the most about how long everything's taken, and then he'd make everybody wait whenever he got on set. And I'm like sitting there thinking, I remember reading this when I was a kid, going, man, I would have fired that son of a bitch. Nobody's going to know the difference. You're silent. You can't hear yet.
Yeah.
It's not like you're really emoting.
Yeah. And I don't understand why. I mean, I do, to an extent, understand why people keep problem actors and keep the production going because they've already sunk so much money into it and it's so hard. Just a good example on the indie scene. One of my very first movies is called Money Back Guarantee. Did you watch that one?
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay.
It's very bizarre, but I liked it.
Yeah. I originally was cast as the police officer. Only because the director felt I wouldn't make it to Atlanta every weekend to film because I lived in Florida.
Understand.
I get it. But I showed on the day I showed up to shoot my scenes as the cop, the lead actor who was playing Luther was late for his millionth time.
Oh shit.
He was fired on the spot. We started reshoots that very fucking day, right back
Wow.
at the fucking beat. Well, we started with the scene with the cop.
Right.
Somebody grabbed the clothes that I had, put them on as a cop, and I became Luther that fucking day.
No
And
shit.
and
I
we,
knew that you replaced a guy, but I didn't
yeah,
realize how quick that happened.
it happened that day, and we went and reshot they've been shooting for 2 weeks. We reshot all of that, and there's a scene in the diner where the original Luther is actually at a table. He's
Oh
in the
my
movie.
God. Yeah, I remember that. I remember you
Yeah, he
pointed
looks
that
like a
out to me.
black
I was like,
Richard
oh,
Simmons, is all I'm gonna say.
yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna get. I won't disparage the guy because, well,
Yeah, but you got to show up, and this is a case is I don't tolerate that. A lot of
right,
people shouldn't.
right.
You have to be professional and do your thing. But yeah, why people put up with the Ezra Millers and other dipshits, I don't know.
Who knows? And now he thinks he's Jesus.
Oh, I haven't heard that because I can't. I just can't with
This
this idiot.
this movie. I'm sorry. This Flash movie, I think, is gonna bomb, and it's all gonna bomb because of him. And he's
Yeah.
too tied into the movie for them to refilm around him, from what I'm
From
gathering.
what I've
Because I
heard
guess
is he's
he's
in
in
every
every
single
fucking
scene,
scene. You'd have to digitize him out.
and that's not worth it. Yeah, I
No,
don't know.
because you'd be thinking, I can't imagine the money you'd sink into it. But you're right. I guess Max Schreck was the shit back then, though.
He must have been. He must
Because
have been.
I wonder how many times this got showed in theaters, though. Like, we know the film got destroyed. They destroyed
Yeah.
almost every copy.
Yep.
At least one copy got out because more copies were made, and this is a legendary film, folks.
From what I
At
read
least-
last night, one copy made it to the U.S. and everything we see came from that one copy.
No kidding.
Yeah. Now I don't know how accurate that is. Keep in mind we're reading 100-year-old news.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
amazing. Pretty
yeah.
amazing, though, if that's true.
It is. It is. And the fact that whoever cleaned it up did an awesome job. So the version on Tubi is beautiful.
It's clean. It's
I could not
crisp.
believe I was watching a film that old. I've seen new movies that look shittier than that.
And worse acting.
Yes, yes, yes. I realize that watching this, silent movies aren't necessarily for me. I don't mind reading
No.
subtitles, but I got to hear the sounds. I got to hear the sounds of things going on. So
There is one that you may really like, though, The Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
Oh fudge, I have it here somewhere. Ba-ba-ba-la-la-ba-ba-da. And I can't remember. It's the guy who was all the monsters. Man of a Thousand Faces.
Lon Chaney?
Lon Chaney. I believe it's Lon Chaney plays.
Oh, he looks so disturbing in that.
Hooks in the nose
Yeah, and
that's the one. But there was a scene that I was not ready for, and I'm sure on the big screen back in the 20s or whenever the teens, I'm not even sure when that movie was made. It's like two process color. Like there's a section of the ball that's in color.
oh wow,
Kinda. Like not in color like we have now, but I'm sure it cost a pretty penny to make this scene. And it's whenever he's coming down in the skull mask.
oh wow.
He's dressed in a big feather, hat and shit. It is a freaking awesome scene just to watch for that. I know that it's a silent movie. The music's a little bit better though. And I don't know why these guys, when they release these movies, they don't go out and find people like Philip Glass and his orchestra, or his quintet, I think is what it was. Or people like that to come in and rescore. Because that's all it would take. You just have to have a nice score.
There is some good music in this, and at some key moments, it really helps sell it. And watching a silent movie helps you realize just how important sound is, as far as at least the music, and especially in horror films. You've got to make it uneasy, and that's achieved by using low bass tones of a certain frequency that kind of make you icky. It's crazy when you look at the psychological things that people do in a movie to make you feel something.
Right.
And on top of the acting, on top of the lighting, here's some music, here's a little sound, here's something that's just going to be annoying. And we talked a lot about that in Godfather.
Right. Yeah.
That crying baby, the trains, all of that just to bring you.
The breaking of the train. And
brilliant.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Brilliant.
That's good. but you're right. It's all sound. And when I don't understand how these guys didn't see silent movies coming to an end when they did, when they finally started making soundies or talkies,
Hmm.
as they were called. A lot of these studios that went out of business, they went out of business because they didn't embrace the new tech. When they, to me, that was just a natural, this is what's going to take over. You
Right.
know, you can now hear them talking. You can now, and it destroyed a lot of people's careers, which is really sad. But
Yeah.
it also
It,
made
technology
a
will
whole
do it.
lot of people,
Yeah.
made a whole lot of actors and actresses that otherwise wouldn't have been looked at twice. So yeah, there's a lot of history just in this movie.
Well,
When you look at the time, oh
can you imagine 100 years ago going to see a movie, just how mind blowing it would be? I
yeah,
think people were just floored
yeah,
at that.
the
It would be
freaking
amazing.
yeah. What was it? We were watching the one gangster movie. Was it the Roaring Twenties? No, it was
Public Enemy.
Public Enemy. Um, where they're going to go see a movie together.
Yeah.
They talked about that real quick. They're gonna go see a movie, and I think it was a talkie. It was like
Yeah.
it was supposed to be like just before this movie was made, the Roaring Twenties was made. That talkies weren't around for that long.
No.
You were still making silent movies while movies with sound were coming out. They were still kind of intermixing, and the ones that were making all the money were the ones that had sound because everybody wanted to hear the car crash, the music, the woman scream. They wanted to
Yeah.
hear all that. And boy, in those old movies, they gave it to you. It was all at once. It's like just throw the kitchen sink at it, man. It's great. But that's
Awesome.
it's
Awesome. All right. Final thoughts on Nosferatu. I'll start.
okay. Go ahead.
I enjoyed watching it for historical purposes.
Mm,
It is hard to watch at times because it is a silent film and you're expecting something. Again, it's not a matter of
right.
having to read. It's just a silent film is more than just the voice is silent. Everything is silent and there's some
Yeah.
music put in. So it's a little odd. It makes it, I think it drags it out. The acting is really good. The lighting, the shooting is good.
Yeah.
Everything about it's neat. And then there's some really neat camera tricks. The one that got me the most was the floating coffin lid up onto the back of the
Yeah.
wagon. I thought, oh,
Yeah.
that was brilliant. That was
Yeah.
brilliant. And I love seeing that because these are guys at the front. These are at the spearhead of movie making,
Hmm.
figuring shit out and just making it happen. And it's impressive.
On the fly. They
Yeah.
talk about guerrilla filmmaking.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, like especially the ones that came out west in America, though all the shit that they were doing was illegal. Because I was it Edison or I think it was Edison that owned the rights to the film camera at the time.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I may have my guys might have been Bell,
Well,
but I
it could
think
have
it
been
was Edison.
Edison, and I'm sure somebody else made it. But anyway, that's
Yeah,
a whole nother
but
podcast.
these guys just took all this tech and went west. They just started making movies, and Edison tried to sue the shit out of everybody. It was like, no, it's too late. They've changed the sprocket. They've done this. They've
Yep.
done that. They've done something different. I mean, he screwed so many people in his life that he kind of got what was coming to him in that respect. But yeah, the guerrilla filmmaking was insane.
Well, what's neat, and it just made me think of it, is how sound was recorded. And when you mentioned Edison, I thought of the wax tubes that he would use
Yeah,
to score and make like dictation. I have got a recorder that I can see here. I can't pick it up. It weighs almost 100 pounds, but
right.
it records on wire,
Yeah,
on super thin wire. It looks like fishing line, but it's wire. It records on it. I've never tried it. Just had to buy it at an estate sale because, oh my
right.
God, this is so cool. Well, I don't know. One day we'll record on it, David.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Tommy
Yeah.
Jones. Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, for me, this is a must watch. You're looking at history, you're looking at art
Hmm.
history, you're looking at film history, you're looking at actors that were alive and in their prime 100 years ago. You're
Yeah.
you're looking at a moment in time that no longer exists. And it's kind of sad, but then when you look at what they have then, and then you go to Bram Stoker's Dracula type movie, and you look at the difference in storytelling. But like you said, you can go and look at this movie and see where he lifted and pulled a lot of stuff into his storytelling, the lighting, the mood, what he was doing with the guy in the jail cell that had all the writing on the wall, and he's trying to get up to the little jail cell window. That was all directly out of this movie.
That's always one of my favorite characters, and I've always seen Renfield done so well. He was done great in here, and the others. It's just somebody is just so overtaken by the power of Count Dracula. I mean, he reaches across oceans to this motherfucker, and it just
goes mad. He goes,
he just drives him crazy.
Have you ever seen the Bela Lugosi Dracula? You have?
I have.
Okay.
I've seen that one, the Christopher Lee. God knows how many
Draculas are great.
Yes.
Yeah, my favorite Renfield is the Dracula, the original Dracula. That's the guy when he starts laughing. He's got that weird wicked look on his face. It's like, this guy is totally insane, and that actor put everything he had into it. He's probably like, I'm never gonna act again, so fuck it, let's do this. Let's do this thing right. But that's probably my favorite Renfield is the Bela Lugosi.
Very cool. And it's neat. This is, we talk a lot about remakes. And God damn it, why are they remaking this other movie?
Right.
Well, you know what? I've watched so many remakes of Dracula, it's not even funny. Go ahead, redo it again. It's just so good. And
if it's good, I'll watch it.
You know what? Yeah, and that's the way I feel about it. Bring it. If you can bring me a good story, and it's bones, it's there. It's so it's
good story. And if you've never read the book, read the book. It's very interesting. It's just like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Very interesting. Nothing like any movie. So they tried to pull it off one time in a movie, and honestly, it sucked.
Well, one of the things that, and I'll give our listeners a heads up, if you plan on going to check out Dracula, be prepared. It's not your normal book. It's a diary.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of diary entries. And
I was going to say it's a bunch of diary entries from a bunch of different people.
Yeah. And that's, once you get into it, it's almost as if, for me, it's almost as if like I'm sneaking a peek into Wilhelmina's life, and Jonathan and Seward and Van Helsing and on and on. It's really cool.
And I'll add on to that. It's almost like you're reading all these different diary entries and you're putting them together. Like,
your brain just does it. It's brilliant.
If this guy would have only known what she knew here and what this guy knew over here on this, everything would have went fine. But yeah, it's so well done. And Bram Stoker's Dracula really touches on that a lot. Probably more so than any other version, where they bring in the diary entries a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, really so good. So such a good movie.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
The book is really good. Book is really good.
So, this one fired off our Halloween month.
Yeah.
Which will not necessarily starting in October, but we're going to roll through some horror films, classics, and see where we get as we come up to Christmas. So, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. And, if you got anything to say, drop us a line on YouTube. Thank you for those who do, and give us a thumbs up, hit a subscribe, like, share, and stay tuned. We've got exciting things happening for you if you like the occult and the weird and the strange and the unexplained.
We're going to have some fun, kids.
We are. So, thanks again, and we will catch you next week.
Take it easy.